Hello and welcome back to TomTalks, and we've got another music review to do today with the BRIT Awards coming up, of course. We are going to be reflecting on the mixtape, the second mixtape to be exact, from Mr. Jim Legxacy, Black British Music 2025. This is Jim's follow-up to Homeless N-Word Pop Music, which was a very good mixtape, very enjoyable, really got him out there as one of the hottest, most exciting upcoming artists. Jim is a rapper, but he's also a singer, a producer, multifaceted talent, to be quite honest. And this is Jim's first release on the famous XL recordings that, you know, the countless names you could name to have been on this label when it comes to like the hot upcoming fresh artists. But in terms of other people who've made music that can be defined as raps, I think The Streets, Original but Pirate Material, Gigs, of course, back in the day. There's plenty of other names who started out on this label and really pushed on following that. Jim really got a lot of attention for this record. He has received 3 BRIT Award nominations for Best New Artist, Best Hip Hop, Grime, Rap and Best R&B. And 4 Mobo nominations as well for Best Male, Best Newcomer, Song of the Year for 3X and Video of the Year for Father. And Jim has, of course, really pushed himself and got the attention he has, not just for his own work, but for producing Dave and Central C Sprinter. He worked on a couple of tracks from the new Dave record, which you can see behind me, such as, of course, Rain Dance, which has been one of the biggest hits of the year so far. And he's also worked with Heady One as well. So this guy has been implementing himself amongst the big guys. He has been pushing his sound to a wider audience. I mean, this project got into the top 40. It was his first charting release, along with, of course, 3X, which got into the singles chart. But he's really done something special here, I think. Black British Music 2025 is an album, well, I should say mixtape, really, that shows an artist who has a message to say, has a consistent voice, but is able to do it through different sounds, different deliveries. His use of sampling and interpolation is great here. The producers he's worked with are great, whether other UK underground artists like YT or Lucid, Baby Cashy, Joe Stanley, CPPO, other people we should probably be keeping an eye on for their future careers. But Jim Legxacy has done something quite special here, and I'm going to tell you why. We start off with Context, which is this very wavy track. It's got these blurry synths and this auto-tune background harmony, and it's basically Jim sort of talking about life, grief, going through it despite the music success he had been having up to that point. And it's basically introducing the themes of the record. The production sounds nice, and it's very important to what we're going to hear. Next, we get Stick. I really love the auto-tune choir vocals. Ever since the rain been coming down. Like, yeah, great. Earworm, gets your attention immediately. That's how you start a track. The Jersey Club beat is very energetic. It matches Jim's very quick-paced flow. He's reflecting here on his hardships in life, some of the stuff he's had to go through before to get to this point. I really like as well the line, "Cause my boat can't take on more water." It's a great way to sort of emphasise that he's had a lot happen in his life. He's really struggling to go through it. And ironically, he interpolates Skepta's going through it, which I think is a nice touch. And it's just getting too much for him. Saying he's moving on from before and when he used to sell drugs, but you can really start to see the themes of the record being introduced here. And Jim gives this very angelic rap song delivery that really sells the message very well. We then get New David Bowie, which for me, I think is the track here that stands out as something I'm not particularly keen on. It just feels like it's missing something. Like, I like the pounding percussion, the sort of alternative instrumental. I like the little video gamey simps. And he's kind of like talking about how he can't be himself in front of this girl and having to change his behaviour. And I think his voice works well against the John Bellion sample. But I just feel like this track needed a bit more layers to it, maybe a bit more going on lyrically to stand out. It's still nice while it's on, it's good in the background, but I just feel like when you listen to the rest of this record, this stands out as a track that needed a bit more to it, to be honest. Sun with Fimi Guerrero, who I really like his chorus here. It's an earworm, and the sort of talk of seducing a girl who was a thing for guys from the hood. Like there's the cheeky line, how I got 6 girls in a 4-seater. Fimi Guerrero's a great guest here. He does his thing. One of the big names, of course, in the UK alternative rap scene, and deservedly so. I love the acoustic hip-hop sound of the beat. I think Jim comes in well and matches the themes that Fimi Guerrero is talking about. They really work well together on the chorus as well, like fitting together nicely. And there's the interpolation here of J Huss's Did You See? And you can see here that while Jim is giving off a sort of feeling of, oh, I'm with this girl and it's going along, there is an undertone that something's not quite right, that he's not quite feeling happy. And another thing I'd just like to point out here, I think Jim's references to past music, as we've said on this track with the Did You See interpolation on other tracks, is really what makes this record stand out. It's like a homage to the past, particularly UK rap culture, but Jim doing his thing and paying homage, but also saying, here's me, I'm here to make my name now. And also as well, I'm not sure who does it, but the person who does the sort of like ad-libs, like mixtape style, like black British music, we've been shaking arses since the Windrush, like that's great and really adds to the mixtape theme and really gives this impact, whether on this track or other tracks here. But Sun's a really good, catchy little moment. We then get 06 Wayne Rooney. This track's just nostalgia. Like, the video, of course, is great. I love that. But the blaring synths, the nice indie rock guitar, it's very nostalgic. It feels like something that would have turned up on the FIFA of old, which I think is what Jim was going for here. But when you look into the lyrics, goddamn, this is really deep. It's very personal. He's struggling in life and mentally. The line, they play our war cries in their clubs, I think is a brilliant line to sort of emphasise the fact that a lot of rap artists are going into depth about some really personal things and the past and the struggles and some of the illegal stuff they would have had to do to sort of get by. And a lot of people just treat it as an anthem. They maybe don't go into depth about what they're saying or why they're saying it. And a lot of people, myself included, who have had privilege and have not had to do these things to get by in life, whose parents maybe haven't had to struggle that way, kind of maybe don't understand or take into detail these war cries. And I think that's a really important line, and it's something that I think people need to take into account when listening to these artists. Like, yeah, they're making great songs, they're catchy, there's a bit of escapism, I guess, for some people because it's a world you've not been in or had to live. But remember where these artists came from and take that into account, especially when you form your political opinions about, oh, well, I think that's wrong, having not lived that life, so to speak. But I think that's a great line here. The guitar playing and Jim singing on the chorus are brilliant. The hey, hey, ya, he interpolates hey, ya here, and I think that is a perfect choice from Jim, because hey, ya is similarly a song that sounds quite upbeat, quite catchy, quite, you know, let's get down to it in the club. I mean, I've enjoyed that as a club anthem before, but when you look deep down into the song, it's quite depressing. There is a lot of personal and sort of melancholic detail to it. So I think Jim knew exactly what he was doing there. The blaring keyboard at the end is a lovely way to close this out. I love this track. It's great. And now that I've sort of looked into the lyrics more, I love it even more because of the juxtaposition, I guess, but also just how personal and how emotive this track is from that perspective. Issues of Trust is this melancholic acoustic number with these sad little harmonies at the start to set the tone. Jim is kind of reflecting on how his father left and it affected him. It didn't allow him to be open and honest about his issues. It's kind of like part one to the next track here. Also, the strings on this track are beautiful, but it sets the tone here very nicely. After some lovely little choir vocals, we go straight into Father, which, yeah, is a lovely little crossover straight into the next track. The sample of the George Smallwood, I love my father, that's great. Really is the best part of the track in my opinion. The Jersey Club beat gives it a real energy and a bounce. And it's interesting what he's saying, because he's reflected a lot on his father not being there. And on this one, he's talking about how he grew up more independent because he didn't have a father. And then he's met this girl who's in a similar vein, and I guess they're sort of bonding over that. I think it's a really interesting way to look at the theme of when a father has left the child and how they've had to deal with that and how they've had to grow up without like a male role model in their life. And the kick drums come in on the verse and they're great. They give it even more energy. There's also like lines like making money, being on the block, listening to Mitski. There's like little lines like that that just show you what makes Jim stand out. And yeah, Father is a good track. It's fits into the themes of the record. It sticks in your ear, particularly the sample, and it's a great carry on from Issues of Trust. We then get DBAB, which starts off with this erratic UK underground like synths and the chipmunked background vocals. And then Jim comes in very passionately delivering about how he's making money his own way and how girls don't love him, they're just there for the money. There's again some references to Dave's Wanna Know, which we'll speaking of Dave, we'll hear from him later. And also the Snow Informer interpolation works well here because he's kind of saying like he had to deal drugs and you can't be an informer, don't trust the informer. The chorus is really catchy here. It's another good moment on the record that gets you into Jim's sort of mindset and allows him to sort of lay out some of the stuff he's had to deal with, how he feels, and the production, the sample, the interpolations, everything just come together and they just do the job. Big Time Forward, which I believe is a Drake reference. Is it that WizKid song that it Come Closer? Drake might have done it in other songs, but that's where I remember it from. But onto this track, love the fast-paced drums, the Afro pop and jungle influence, again showing Jim's genre variety, but they work really well together to give the beat a bit of a kick. The reminiscing on a girl who wants to move on from him is kind of like the main theme. He's even talking about how he's crying looking at photos of her from the past. It's a real sad and sort of passionate insight into feelings of love. And again, Jim feels like he's been let go of by someone, let down by someone, and because people are in his life are disappearing, he feels like he doesn't really have anyone to talk to maybe. Then on the second verse, we get this like very wavy reggaeton-esque synths and the drill influence, and it really changes the tempo of the track. And but still allows Jim to be Jim and express himself very well. And it's another really good moment, and it sticks out a little bit in the Jim has been talking a lot about girls here and showing off to impress them or trying to find common ground like on Father, but on this one you really see the emotion and the passion of this man and how rejection has once again hit him. And yeah, it's a moment again where Jim lays it all out on the table for you, and you empathize with him as an artist, as a person, of course, but you really get to see into his mindset and why he is the way he is. Next up is SOS, another really catchy one, courtesy of that I'm Missing You, the sample but by Case. That deep noted keyboard melody is equally as catchy. Great stuff there. And the drum pattern, it's very calming. This song is a bit more relaxed in the sense of it allows Jim to sort of take control of the track rather than the beat does, which, you know, for this track, Jim taking control makes sense. And he's again talking to this girl who has been let down by someone they're interested in, and he's like trying to convince her, saying, I can be your SOS, come on a date with me, give a chance on me. And I think it's a really interesting track as it's Jim kind of again looking at love in a way where he probably knows deep down this person might not be the one for him, but he's obviously has some sort of feelings for her, or he wants to help her and make her feel like she's loved and enjoyed, maybe because of his own struggles with feeling let down by other people. But it's really good, it's bouncy, it's catchy, it's another good moment on the record. And yeah, Jim just keeps on delivering good tunes on this record. We then get I Just Banged Snus in Canada Water. Am I allowed to say snus on YouTube? I don't know. But it starts off with this classic boom bap sound before the drums come in, very UK alternative rap-esque again, which is good because Jim has a much more fast-paced delivery here. It's intense, as he's been talking about how he doesn't want to be abused in the music industry the same way as a child he was used as a drug pusher, which makes sense as it's quite a personal and deep topic, and it's Jim sort of, you know, recognising what happened to him in the past and not wanting that to happen again. And it's again a good sort of moment for people to sort of reflect again on, similarly to when I said about the sort of their war cries or club anthems things, where people need to remember, like, these people were kids, they were being abused, they were being used, they were in difficult circumstances. So have a bit of empathy, think about that before you criticise them. Sad piano and the warbly synths, the auto-tune choir, the percussion, they all come together nicely to help push this track forward. And again, Jim kind of sums up where he's at with how I go from poverty to pop star. Like, Jim has been homeless, he's had to struggle, and it probably is a lot to deal with for someone who's gone through all that struggle in life to suddenly become a pop star, a big name in the music industry, somebody who's getting BRIT Award nominations, being recognised. And yeah, I think he sells the message of this track very well, and I think the production does its thing the most part to help him there. Dexter's Phone Call sees another feature from Dexter and the Newsagent, an artist I have heard about for a while but seems to be getting their own sort of big moment at the moment. Watch out for them. It's more acoustic pop, it's very breathy. Dexter delivers it in a very breathy, melancholic way as she talks about struggling and missing her past and waking up and having to come to terms with the present. Both these artists harmonise really nicely on the chorus. It's a really great moment. They just sound really good together. It's an emotive and powerful delivery. The reference to Stick is a nice one here, as they're both tracks they're dealing with people who are struggling to come to terms with their feelings and emotions and reflecting on the past. And then on the back end, the delivery is more auto-tuned and distorted to show that Dexter is struggling and is sad and is feeling overwhelmed by these emotions. But a great feature, a great callback to Stick, and another great moment on this record. I can't sing its praises enough. We then get 3X featuring Dave, which was the hit of the album. The acoustic guitar, the background harmonies, the direct delivery here really work, as Jim emphasises the people are trying to beat him as in do better than him, try to use him, they're jealous of him, and he's kind of having to deal with all that along with his other problems. And it's, again, a really personal, insightful moment into Jim's mind space. He also talks about the sad passing of his sister and how his boys did stand up for him there, but also he wants to be alone. He doesn't want this girl to message him. He's struggling to come to terms with what's happened, and he just wants to be isolated, and he doesn't want to have to deal with all these other problems with people, whether he's during his time on the streets or now wanting him to fail. And you get it. It's understandable. I also really love the bouncy kick drums here. The Wanna Know interpolation is great. Also really like, before Dave comes in, these grime-esque synths that sound exactly like they do on the That's Not Me remix. Like, listen to just before DWE comes in on that track. You'll see what I mean. And Dave has this very punchy verse where he talks about girls similarly and giving Jim confidence that his sister would have been proud of him. And then Jim and the choir both sound great on the chorus. It's another good single. Dave is a well-utilised guest who delivers his verse very impactfully. And yeah, it's another great track on this record. What can I say? I keep saying this is a great track on this record, but it is. Tiger Driver 91 is very airy and breathy in its production. It's got these warbly auto-tune harmonies. But then, of course, the kick drums come in. But for the most part, the production here is allowing you to focus on Jim's melancholic delivery as he's trying to get better. People are losing faith in him. His past is haunting him. He's trying to impress a girl. It feels right for the penultimate track, as it's kind of reflecting on themes that we've talked about throughout the record here. We then get Brief, which is very mellow, very calming in its production. It reminded me of something I probably would have heard off the new Blood Orange record. And he's kind of saying, I'm repeating my dad's mistakes, I'm failing. He talks about burying his sister. He really doesn't seem in a good place at the end of this track. Like, it feels like it's not an album where Jim comes to terms with everything. Like, he's still really struggling at the end of this record with what's happened to him in the past, what's happened to him now, the rejection, the death in his life, the struggle to come to terms with himself and his past. It's very sad, but it's also very human in that aspect. Like, he does say a lot, I'm wasted, which I guess is him saying I'm having to drink to sort of deal with my problems. And it's a very passionate and emotional performance that really grips you, but also, again, has you empathizing with him. But I'd also like to finish by talking about the outro of this song. Always I live my life like a heathen. Daddy's mistakes I'm repeating. Always I live my life like a heathen. The loss of your life I've always been grieving. I wish I could ask how you been keeping. There's a hello, then there's a goodbye. Like, such a sad, impactful, personal, but poignant way to end the record, where he kind of sums up what's affected his life and how he is now. Yeah, man, it's a very good musically way to end the record, but it's quite sad that Jim feels this way. But yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic mixtape. This is an artist who is able to blend genres seamlessly, to be very personal and poignant, to know when to have the right production for the right topic. He knows how to deliver things in the right way to get you emotionally invested. And it's a fan, and the guests are great, the production's great, the sampling and interpolation are spot on, the ode to British black music of the past, everything here is just pretty on point. New David Bowie is the only track here that I think sort of feels slightly weak maybe, but I think this is a great mixtape, and I think Jim Legxacy once again has shown he is a top tier artist, and overall this is a 9 out of 10 for me. Really good stuff. I enjoy it a lot. And if you haven't checked it out, you should too. But that is the end of this review. If you enjoy this record, let me know. If you think I've been fair, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. And do you think Jim's going to win any Brits, Mobos? Let me know that too. But until next time, folks, this has been another Tom Talks.